All right, let's stay with this story. The Limpopo Health Department tomorrow expected to start conducting post-mortems for the 45 crash victims. Limpopo Health MEC Dr. Popi Ramatuba says the affected families are also expected to come to the country and assist with the post-mortems, as only 9 of the victims are identifiable. Let's talk about this now, and we are joined by Dr. Gerhard Verdoorn, and he is a toxicologist, and alongside him is Kabo Ramasia, a Botswana journalist. To both of you, gentlemen, thank you very much for making the time. Can I start with you, Kabo, and ask you the question, if you are aware of arrangements possibly that are being made for the bereaved families to come to South Africa to identify their loved ones?
Thank you. Let me take this opportunity to greet your viewers. At the moment, there hasn't been any information that has been said with regards to the arrangements that are being made by the government of Botswana to facilitate for the families to come and assist with the post-mortem in South Africa. But what we know is that the mother of the surviving 8-year-old child has been able to arrive in South Africa in the company of local some authorities from Botswana. So the belief is that in conjunction with the government of South Africa, the Botswana government would facilitate for those from Botswana who might be able to travel to South Africa to assist them in that regard.
Yeah. Gerhard, can we bring you into the conversation? You are a toxicologist. Only 9 victims are identifiable from this horrible bus tragedy. How difficult a job is it to try and identify human remains that are burnt beyond recognition?
It is actually quite a mission, and I think quite a gruesome task. And may I also offer my sincere condolences to the people of Botswana and their families who lost their beloved family members, especially on the Easter weekend like this. But coming back to the question, it takes some very deep forensic pathology and science to uncover who the different people are, because when you mention the word burned beyond recognition, it goes back to 2 possibilities. First of all is to look at possible dental records. Now, this comes out of all the typical American movies where they've got all those records, like in the Western world. But in Africa, we seldom, if ever, have those dental records of people. So that actually cuts it out of the picture. So it would require then the forensic pathologist to take tissue samples from the bodies of the dead people, and then to start with DNA analysis, because the only way to actually uncover the truth behind who is whom in that particular gruesome picture is to go and look at the DNA, and they would have to match the DNA then to family members. So what needs to be done is they would have to go to the families of people in Botswana and preferentially find a mother there of a person who was on the bus and take a tissue sample from the mother or a blood sample from the mother and work on the mitochondrial DNA, because the mitochondrial DNA is a very strong link between the mother and the child of the person, or whether that person is an adult or still a youth or a child doesn't really matter. But in other words, the mother's DNA comes from the mitochondrial DNA. It's passed down to the children, and that would be your, call it, foolproof scientific methodology to prove whom is who in that gruesome particular incident. There isn't actually much else that the pathology can do, because you say that the bodies were charred. In other words, to do any facial recognition or limb deformities that might help a bit, clothing is out of the picture. So you basically have to go back to the most deep of all sciences, namely the DNA matching of bodies with that of a family member, preferentially a mother, or then somebody on the mother's side of the family.
We'll come back to you, Gerhard, about the time that it takes to conduct this process. Kabo, perhaps that is my next question to you. Some families may want to bury their loved ones within a specified period, and this could be based on religious or other, practices. Are you aware of families who may already be worried about a possible elongated DNA process?
I think at the moment there hasn't really been nothing of that sort, because in the morning today, the Mmamatlakala leadership, where most of the victims were traveling from, together with the area member of parliament and the village leadership, convened a meeting whereby such issues were addressed, insofar as the Botswana police stating that they are working hand in hand with authorities from South Africa, and also that they put it to the rest of the public that such a process, such as forensic investigation, whereby DNA would have to be applied to really identify the remains, is such a long process that people have to be patient and they have to give authorities some time. I think that is the message that has been relayed, even in a statement that was released yesterday by the Botswana police, whereby they stated that they'll be conducting a joint forensic investigation with the South African police. I think that is what was emphasized, and also by the Minister of Transport from South Africa. I think on Thursday or Friday, when she was addressing the media, she really stressed about that such is a long process that most people would have to really give the authorities time.
Yeah. Gerhard, let's come back to you and straight back into that DNA process. How long is it, and could it be further impacted upon by the fact that these are non-South African persons who are deceased here, and therefore doing that matchmaking, if you like, that you explained a little earlier, between the deceased persons and their relatives who are alive?
Yeah, the extraction of the DNA from a tissue sample from a body is not something that takes too long. So if you have a proper body part, even bone marrow, you can extract the DNA quite easily. What has to be done then is the DNA has to be replicated in a PCR machine, that you get enough of the DNA to do the matching with another person's DNA. So the length of time can be anything from a couple of days to a couple of weeks, given the magnitude of the accident and the number of people that they have to identify. So I would imagine at least a couple of weeks for all the work to be done on the dead bodies. On the Botswana side, if the Botswana authorities can start taking samples from family members and start doing the same work on their side, it could hasten up the process. And I am very confident that our relationship with Botswana has always been very, very good, and I do believe that the two governments will work on a bilateral agreement that they can work together between the forensics on the Botswana side and our forensic department to start working together hand in hand, that you don't have to wait for the one side to do the DNA and for the other side to do the DNA to match them up. But if they work concurrently, that can hasten up the process significantly. But again, like Kabo also said, on the Botswana side, they said it's a lengthy process. So one shouldn't expect any results to come out within the next week or so. It will take, I would imagine, 4 to 6 to maybe 8 weeks to do the proper genetic analysis to make sure that who the person is that you took the DNA from.
Yeah.
And I would hope that everybody would work together for the sake of the families and for the sake of them being able to take their loved ones back to their ancestral burial sites and to bury them and do all the proper stuff according to the culture and religion.
Yeah. Kabo, let's come back to you. What's been the reaction from ordinary Botswana to this massive, tragic incident? Is government planning some national memorial service, perhaps, for the deceased persons?
I think we are all shocked as Botswana as to the tragic incident that befell us. And owing to this dark clouds that hover upon us as a nation, the government has really announced that on Thursday there will be a national memorial service that will be held in Gaborone at the University of Botswana Stadium, So that is to cater for, for more people coming from all four corners of the country. But also, I understand today, also, memorials have started in Molepolole, whereby the ZCC members have really started prayers, or mirapelo as we call it here. And I understand that the minister, or the MP from that era also stated that there will be more of that, of such memorials to follow, and even maybe across regions in the country. With regards to what I feel maybe should be updated is that the government has also stated that they've been going around the affected families trying to make assessment, so that where there is a need for government to really intervene and support such families, that help will be granted, of course, through the local authorities. And also they've extended counseling to the affected families, but they're saying that they'll be rolling it out to all the affected families. So those who have not been counseled yet should wait patiently for such. And also, I think maybe what has been quite worrisome is that despite all this sadness and somber mood that we are all in, as media, MISA Botswana, we continue to reiterate our position insofar as the spread of falsehoods and misinformation on social media, because there have been several circulating, videos and reports which, at the end of the day, some are not really factual or true. Yeah. So we really appeal to Botswana and to everybody who's following this story to say that let investigations unfold, and as they unfold, I believe that the South African government has so far really done justice to us by really updating us, and even the South African media has been on top of this issue, really updating us as to what is happening. People should not really mislead or be posting information that is inaccurate, because you can imagine such a sensitive issue that we are all dealing with here.
Absolutely. You're so right, Kabo. Thank you very much for that. In fact, social media in the recent past, it has been a huge problem in peddling inaccuracies, and that could just, further the pain of families who are grieving at this time. I want to thank both of you. Kabo Ramasia is a journalist in Botswana, and I also want to thank Dr. Gerhard Verdoorn. He is a toxicologist. Thank you so much for the information that you have shared tonight. All right, and just to reiterate that on Thursday, based on what Thabo is telling us, Thursday, it will be a day of a national memorial service that is planned by the government for the victims of this tragic bus accident. And indeed, condolences to the families who are bereaved.